Hello HIC students, welcome to another week of Math at Home. This is our 10th week on our math lessons, and today we're gonna be dividing into 3 sections. We're gonna have our 6th graders learn how to multiply and divide integers. We're gonna have our 7th graders learning about budgeting, and our 8th graders, we're gonna be working on surface area for rectangular and triangular prisms. Let's get started. Our 6th grade objective is for us to be able to multiply and divide integers fluently. So let's get with the following example. Paco made 5 withdrawals from his account. That means that he got money out of his bank account, and each one was equal to $70. The question says, what was the overall change in the balance of his bank account? In order for us to do this, we have to learn how to multiply integers with different signs. Let's get to work. So we're gonna multiply with a number line. We're gonna start by drawing a number line with negative numbers. And we know that Paco made 5 withdrawals and each one was $70. So I'm gonna start my movement at 0. Then the first movement is gonna get negative $70. If he withdraws another time, then the total will be negative 140. If he does it for a third time, then the total will be negative $210. If he does another withdrawal, then it's gonna be negative 280, and then the final withdrawal will be the same as negative 350. So my answer will be the overall change in his account was negative $350. The following problem says the temperature drops 3 degrees Fahrenheit every day for 6 days. So we have our keyword here, we have our key information, and then it says how much did the temperature drop in all. So in order for us to be able to solve this problem, we need to multiply the drop. Remember, drops means negative, so we're gonna multiply negative 3 degrees Fahrenheit times the 6 days that the temperature dropped. Remember that when I'm multiplying numbers that have different signs, the result is going to be negative. So basically what I have to do with this is I just multiply the numbers regularly. 3 times 6 is going to be 18. And then my result on this side is going to be an 18. But since both of these numbers have different signs, the sign of this result is going to be negative. So the answer will be the temperature dropped 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And now is going to be your turn. And the problem says, every day for 7 days, Leonel withdrew $20 from his savings account. The question is, how much did he withdraw in all? You have 3 options, and you're gonna have a couple of seconds for you to get the correct answer. Let's get to work. Now let's explore the following problem, and it says Alicia hiked down a trail at a steady rate for 10 minutes. Her change in elevation was negative 200 feet. what was the rate when she hiked down the trail in feet per minute. In order for us to be able to complete this exercise, we need to write the division, which is going to be negative 200 divided by the 10 minutes that she took in order for her to hike down the trail. Now, in order for us to be dividing this with a concrete model, we're going to be using a number line. And we have from 0 all the way to negative 200. Now, the only thing that we need to do is just divide that number line into 10 equal spaces. And then we realize that each of these spaces needs to be equal to negative 20. So my answer will be she hiked negative 20 feet per minute. We have the next problem. It says Vanessa borrowed a total of $72 from her grandmother. She borrowed $9 each week. How many weeks did she borrow money? So in order for us to do this division, we're gonna be using counters. And since we're talking about borrowing, we're gonna be using -1 counters. So we're gonna do a little table and we're gonna have the number of weeks and the total amount that she borrowed in order for us to be able to find how many weeks she spent borrowing money from her grandma. So we have, on the first week, she borrowed $9. So we have 9 counters, and that's a total of -9. Second week, she borrowed another $9, and that brings the total to -18. The third week, she did the same, and now her total is -27. Fourth week, she borrowed another $9, and now she borrowed a total of $36. She keeps borrowing on the fifth week, and now she has $45 in total. Sixth week, she borrows another 9, and now she brings her total to -$54. Seventh week, she is $9 again, and now her total is $63. And on the 8th week, she borrows another $9, and now she brings her total to $72. So now we just found out that she spent 8 weeks borrowing money from her grandma. Now is your turn. You're gonna find the quotient of the following division. We have -21 divided by -3. You're gonna pick the correct option, and you're gonna have a couple of seconds to get the correct answer. Let's start. Our 6th grade learning objective for today was that we learned how to multiply integers using a number line. We also learned how to divide integers using counters, and of course we review the multiplication and division of integers rule, which is if both numbers have the same sign, our result is going to be positive, and if they have different signs, then the result is going to be negative. Now let's get to our 7th grade section. For our 7th graders, the main objective is for us to be able to identify the components of a personal budget. And in a simple explanation, a personal budget is just a summary of positive numbers and negative numbers representing your financial situation. So in order for us to start this, we're going to introduce 2 key vocabulary that we're going to see throughout this lesson. The first one is on the positive column, and that's when money comes in. That is called income. Now, when I have money on my account and it actually goes out, that's called expenses. And these are gonna be the two main categories of our personal budget. Some description of income that you are gonna see throughout the lesson are gonna be salary, it can be also commission, or it can be earnings. And these are three types of monies that come in your financial situation. For expenses, some examples are going to be, you can spend money on food, you're gonna spend money on taxes, you can spend money in savings, you're gonna spend money in clothes. So these are just some examples of money that goes out of your bank account. Now let's get to see some real world situations. And now we're gonna look at the first problem, and it says, Luisa wants to save money to buy a laptop. She is working for 4 weeks and she makes $100 each week. Her budget is shown below. How much money can she save? So in order for us to be able to start this, we're gonna start with the description. So we said that her earnings are $100 for 4 weeks. So that means that her income is a total of $400. And that makes her available balance to be the same as $400. Now, we have that she has some entertainment expenses of $60, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna subtract it from 40, and now she have $340 available. She also buys some snacks that total $40 for her expense. And that's also going to be subtracted from the available balance to bring it down to $300. The next one is food that she spends a total of $120, and that's going to be again subtracted from 300, and that makes it $180 her available balance. And the last thing is that she has an emergency savings where she spends $50 in total. That brings her available balance to $130. So we can say that she can only save $130 after covering all her expenses. Now we're going to complete this personal budget and we're going to calculate the available balance at the end of the month. We have the first one that we have a salary, which is $300. Remember, salary is a income or a money that is coming in, so I'm gonna put it on the income column, and that means that I'm gonna have an available balance of positive 300. Then we have clothes, and that is money that is going away, so that's gonna be an expense, and I'm gonna put it right here, and that's gonna subtract out of the 300, so that means that I'm gonna have a new balance that is gonna be 260. Then I'm gonna have savings, that in order for me to be able to save, I have to put away money, so that means that is another expense that is going to subtract the available balance, and now it's gonna be 230. Then we have entertainment, that is also an expense of $50, and that would make it an available balance of 180. And then we have emergency savings, that is again putting money away, so that's going to be another expense that makes our total 170. And then we have food, that we have to give money away in order to buy food, so we're gonna put it also on the expense column, and that gives us a total available balance of 110. So this person, after all its expenses, is gonna have an available balance of $110. We're gonna introduce now two new vocabulary for our lesson, and these are just types of expenses. In this type of expenses, we have two main types, which is fixed expenses and variable expenses. The difference is that on fixed expenses, these monies that go out don't change month to month. So one example can be your car payment or your rent. On the other side, the variable expenses are the monies that you may have control over, just like the food that you eat or the clothes that you buy or even the gas that you use.
Now we are gonna take a look at the following personal budget, and we are going to decide which expenses are fixed and which ones are variable. So we have the first expense is gonna be utilities. And for the utilities, since this might change month to month based on usage, maybe you use air conditioner a little bit more one week and then another week is colder, so you don't use it as much. The utilities is gonna change month to month, so that's gonna be one variable expense. Then we have the next one is gonna be rent, and rent is one expense that is fixed because rent does not change month to month, so this one is gonna be on this side. We have the next one, which is auto insurance, and auto insurance is another example of a fixed expense because again it does not change month to month. And then we have clothing that is actually a variable because you can decide to buy more clothes on one month, or maybe in another month you don't have to buy clothing at all because you have enough. So that's an example of a variable expense. And this is how we classify variable and fixed expenses. Now we have the budget in the form of a pie chart. And we have our monthly income of $3,800. And we're going to start filling out the personal budget so we can see how much this person has available. So we start. The earnings is equal to 3,800, and that goes in the income column, and that's going to be positive for our available balance. Then we have rent that is equal to 1,400, and that's going to be deducted from my available balance. Now my available balance is 2,400. Now the food is given as a percent, so we need to multiply 0.15 times 3,800 in order for us to get our total expense on food, which is 570, and that's going to be also deducted from 2,400, which brings our available balance to 1,830. Then we have our savings, which is 320, and our clothing is equal to 8%. So now we need to multiply again 3,800 times 0.08, which brings the total for the clothing at $304. And now the last expense that he has is the medical expense, which is $400, and that brings our total available balance to $806. And this is how you fill out a personal budget. Now it's gonna be your turn, and the problem says the Torres family budget is $4,000. You are given this pie chart, and your question is, how much do they spend in housing and food? You have three options, and you're gonna have a couple of seconds for you to find the correct answer. Let's get started.
For our 7th graders, today our learning outcome was that we learned the components of a personal budget. And the main elements are income and expenses. We also learned that on the expenses side, you have two main types of expenses, which are the variables and the fixed expenses. And now we're gonna get to our 8th grade section. Today, our 8th graders will learn how to determine solutions for problems involving total surface area and lateral surface area of rectangular and triangular prisms. So we're gonna look at the following example. Let's say that I wanna buy a gift and I buy some shoes that come in a box. Then I tell you that I want to decorate the box with wrapping paper. How much wrapping paper do I need to cover the whole box? In order for us to be able to get the solution, we're gonna have to learn how to get the total surface area of a rectangular prism. Let's get to work.
In order to solve this problem, we are going to draw a net for the rectangular prism. So I'm going to start with the bottom rectangle of the shoe box, and then I'm going to draw the sides right and left. Then I'm going to draw the rectangles for the front and the back, and then of course I'm going to draw the top rectangle of my box. I know that there is a length of 9 inches, so I'm gonna put it right there, and then I have a width of 3 inches, and then I know that the height is equal to 10 inches, so I'm gonna write it just like this. And now, in order for us to be able to find the total surface area, I need to add all areas for every face of this prism. So I'm going to start with the sides, the right and left. As you can see, on that rectangle, you just have to multiply base times height, 3 times 10, which is equal to 30. So I'm going to write 30 inches or 30 square inches on each of these rectangles. Then I'm going to calculate the area for the front and back. As I can see, I just have to multiply 9 times 10, and that's going to bring 90 square inches to these two rectangles. Lastly, I'm gonna calculate the area for the bases, the bottom and the top, and that brings my calculation to 27, and I'm gonna put 27 square inches on each of these rectangles. In order for me to get the total surface area, I just have to add all these numbers together, and then I can find that my answer is 294 square inches, and that will be how you can find the total surface area of a rectangular prism. Now we are going to calculate the lateral surface area of a classroom, which its shape is a rectangular prism. And basically you can think of lateral surface area as the area that you cover when you paint the walls. So that means that you are not taking into account the floor and the ceiling, which in our mathematical terms we call them the bases. So the only thing that we have to worry is the front and the back, front and back. And for this one we have the measurements of 10 times 7. So that means that that rectangle in the front is going to be equal to 70, and since it has 2, because it's the front and the back and they are exactly the same, I just have to add it together, and the area for both is going to be equal to 140 feet square. Now I'm going to get to the sides, which is going to be the right and left side, and those are going to be given by the measurements 2 times 7, and that's going to be equal to 14, which then it happens the same as the front and back. I just have to add it 2 times because both areas are exactly the same. So this one is going to be 28 feet square, And then in order for me to get the lateral surface area, I just have to add these two, so it's gonna be 168 square feet, and that's gonna be the answer for this problem. And now is your turn. You're gonna find the total surface area of this rectangular prism. You have some options and you're gonna have a couple of seconds for you to find the correct answer. Let's get started. And the following problem says, Jordan is selling chocolate bars in the shape of triangular prisms. What is the surface area of the foil covering the chocolate? So in order for us to do this, and again, we need to draw the net of this triangular prism, which is gonna look something like this. And as you can see, I draw every measure in order for me to be able to find the areas of each of the faces. I'm going to start with the bases, which in this case is going to be the triangles. And I remember that the formula for the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. That'll be 1 inch times 1.5, and then divide that by 2, which will give me 0.75 on each of these triangles. Then I'm gonna find the area of the middle rectangle, which is gonna be the same as multiplying 1 times 6. So the area here is 6 square inches. And then the two rectangles that are on the side are gonna be 1.6 times 6, which is equal to 9.6, and that's gonna be the area for each one. As I said at the beginning, for the rectangular prism, the total surface area is going to be equal to the addition of all these areas, which means that my answer is 26.7 square inches. And that's how you calculate the total surface area of a triangular prism. The next problem says a restaurant is covering cheese with foil. They only want to cover the lateral surface area. How much foil will they need? So in order for us to be able to do this, I am going to get the area of all these faces except the bases. So I'm not going to take the area of the triangle. So the first rectangle that I'm going to do is this rectangle that I see right here in the front, that is 3 by 6. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 6, and that's going to be 18. I know that on the other side, the rectangle is the same. So that means that for those areas, I am going to add 18 plus 18, and that's going to be equal to 36 inches to the power of 2. Then the only rectangle that I will be missing is the rectangle on this back side, and that rectangle is given by the multiplication 8 times 6, which is equal to 48 square inches, and that means that the lateral area is going to be equal to 48 plus 36, and that's going to be equal to 84 square inches, and that's going to be the answer for this problem. And now is your turn. You're going to find the lateral surface area of the following triangular prism. You have 3 options, and you're going to have a couple of seconds for you to get the correct answer. Let's get to work.
For our 8th graders, we learn how to calculate the total surface area of rectangular prisms. And we learned that lateral surface area means just the walls of that rectangular prism. We also learned how to calculate the total surface area of a triangular prism. And we learned that in order for us to get the lateral surface area, we need to account only for the rectangles and not for the triangles. And that is the end for our lesson. Thank you so much for tuning in another week. Remember that we have resources on HISD at home in order for you to get extra help. We also encourage you to follow my Instagram and Twitter account in order for you to watch these videos at your own time. Have a nice week, and I'll see you on the next Math Ad.